Welcome to Skipping the Line Podcast STP, where we focus on the things that we need in order to get out of our own way, utilize the people around us in our lives, utilize the things within us to be able to get to the goals and the objectives that we want to reach in our lives as well. What I wanted to really kind of focus on today was one of the things that I feel like we shy away from our success, the thing that really pulls us away from our success, right? Sometimes you ask yourself, man, I feel like I've hit this ceiling. I feel like I'm successful in my life. In a sense, I'm able to feed myself, I'm able to feed my family, I'm able to do the things that I want to do for myself, but I've hit a ceiling and I don't really know why, right? And the subject that I really wanted to hone in on today was imposter syndrome. The thought that I have become who I am, and I am in a place of where I am, yet I don't feel like I belong. I don't feel like I belong in this place. I feel like even though I'm here, I feel like an outcast. And no one's calling me an outcast. I'm actually labeling myself. And I think that we have to learn how to address the issue, because sometimes our failure or our lack of growth is not that we are inadequate. It's the fact that we don't feel that we belong in the room. Quick story. And I wanted to talk about this from a little bit of experience, right? I think in my life, I've been in sales organizations and I've worked in the industries for, a little over maybe 13, 14 years. And I am an individual who does very well financially. I have no regrets there. But I feel like I've been in the room and I've been in situations to where, you're amongst your peers, or you're amongst people who you feel are better than you, right? Whether it be financially, whether it be mentally, whether it be spiritually. And you feel like, man, do I really belong in this room? Am I adequate enough to be able to present myself with the knowledge that I have and provide valuable information to these individuals to where they accept me? That was tough for me. I remember being in the room where there's no one that looks like me, probably the younger guy in the room as well. And I remember sitting there, and the issue that I was having was these individuals have been in this industry for probably 30 plus years. And I'm here and I have a major role in a presentation, and we're talking about, an 8-figure deal, and I'm sweating. My hands are sweating. I'm trying to control myself. I'm drinking a lot of water. And then I asked myself, why do I feel this way? Why do I feel like I don't belong in the room? Is it because they don't look like me? Is it because maybe they come from different backgrounds? Is it because our bank accounts may look a little different? And to me, it was all the above. I was fearful of being successful in a room of individuals who I claimed that they were successful. They didn't tell me that I belonged in a room. I earned it. They didn't invite me into the room. I earned my role in that room. And I stood up and I presented myself, and I was able to give a valuable presentation. Walked out of the room, and the guy pulled me to the side and he says, we couldn't have done that without you. The value that you brought today was invaluable. And from that moment on, I knew no matter what, no matter how I feel, no matter who's in that room, I belong there. I've earned it. So some of the things that I really wanted to talk about, right? Really like the consequences of this thing that we call imposter syndrome. I think we tend to anticipate our own failure. We really do. I think we plan out and we act upon our success with mindfully thinking about our failure. We get into a position to be successful, and then we sabotage ourselves. We feel like we don't belong there. So what we do is we make excuses. We start to reason and ration with ourselves on why we don't belong. And then when things happen negatively, it's almost like, well, that's because I shouldn't be here. I don't have the resume to be here. That's something that we have to work on. That's something that being able to identify that feeling, being able to understand that, hey, I'm here, I'm successful, I belong here, and I have to stop thinking about the negative things about being in this place because I'm starting to sabotage my success. I don't need to wake up early because no one else is going to be there on time. I shouldn't read anymore because they don't want to hear me talk anyway. They're going to speak over me anyway. No, you have to keep doing the thing that got you there. You have to keep feeling that you do belong and take action items on getting yourself over that hill. And maybe sometimes that room is not for you. Maybe you don't belong in that room. You belong in a bigger one. How about that? How about maybe you belong in a place that's bigger than you can even imagine? That's even more uncomfortable because that is going to bring something more precious out of you. Maybe that. I mean, and some of the things, right? Some of the things that we would classify or that we would use against ourselves as a reason to not be in the room. Things like our background, right? Understanding our childhood, criminal history, family status. I've seen individuals utilize their background as a reason why they don't belong there. And truth be told, I believe imposter syndrome starts when you're a kid. It starts when you're a kid feeling like I don't belong in a certain place because maybe there's a sibling that's better than me. And that sibling gets praised. And I don't get praised because I'm not the athlete or I'm not book smart or I don't do certain things that appease to my audience that are within my household. Maybe it's that. It starts there, right? And understanding and going back to the root of where it starts and addressing that issue is also vitally important. Also, we use our own criminal history against ourselves. I have friends, I have family who have been incarcerated, got out, and still have a phenomenal mind. They're brilliant individuals despite what they went through, regardless of any crimes or mishaps that they had in their lives. Still brilliant. But it's hard to tap into that brilliance when you feel that my history and the things that I've done have disqualified me. If anything, those things have put you in a position to understand who you are a whole lot more and to understand who you're not. So we have to also learn how to peel that off of ourselves. Just because we had some mishaps in our lives, that doesn't mean that we don't deserve to be in a room. That doesn't mean that we're an imposter in our own success. We have to learn how to continue to push forward past that. And sometimes we use our race. And I'm talking about things that we use against us. I'm not talking about things that other people say to us that we are or are not. Because we hear that as well. But this is more about, what am I using against myself? How am I trapping myself? How am I holding myself back from success by pushing myself down because I feel like I don't fit up there with everyone else? Race is one of them. Being a minority in a room is a thing. It is. And that it's not only a black thing, it's a thing in general. Being an African American individual in a room full of other individuals who don't look like you is a thing that can make you feel like you don't belong there. Being the only white person in the room, being the only anything in a room, being that minority can make you feel like you don't belong there. And it has absolutely nothing to do with you belonging, right? It has absolutely nothing to do with you. You're a human. You're a person who has gone through life, has picked up on certain skills, and has developed certain things within your life to be able to position yourself in that room to where you belong in it. So we have to stop utilizing that piece of information as well to push ourselves back. Be proud to be the only one in the room. Somebody's got to do it. Somebody has to be proud to go in there and be the only person in the room or the only person on the stage that doesn't look like anybody else there. And it's okay. It is perfectly fine. As a matter of fact, you're doing those who are behind you, who feel the same way you do, you're doing them a service. Because now they can look at you and they can feel like, wow, she did that. He did that. I can do it too. I can now get out of my own way, utilize the fortune of someone else, the action of someone else to say, I can actually do that too. We can skip the line and we can get past all the BS of holding ourselves back if we just focus on, I can do it too. Let's not even talk about education or experience. Because your resume looks a certain way, you feel that you don't belong in a room. Having a degree versus a non-degree, the type of work experience you have, right? Maybe you feel like you have insufficient field experience, non-managerial experience. You still belong in that room. Because truth be told, The ones who do have the actual manager experience are sometimes the worst ones. The ones who have the actual field experience make the most mistakes. But you have possibly been in a position to where you have had the opportunity to be led by some great individuals, or to be led by some terrible individuals. And you've learned from their mistakes. You've learned from being led. All leaders are led at some point. Let's not utilize our own professional experience to say that we don't belong there. You've gone through the fire. You know what it's like to lead people. You know what people need to hear from a day-to-day basis to motivate them, to lead them, to correct them, to have hard conversations. You know that we can't allow feeling like we don't have a sufficient professional experience or we don't have the right kind of background to be able to do it. A degree versus a non-degree, just because you didn't spend 4 or 5 years at a university or a major university, right? Sometimes it's this school versus that school. That doesn't mean that you don't have the ability to do the job. That doesn't mean that you don't have the ability to go out and be an entrepreneur and build your own. It doesn't. And you can. So one of the things that's another piece. We have to get out of our own way and stop blaming our educational experience on do we fit. Just because you're sitting in a room or you're sitting amongst your peers or whatever it is and they all are degreed and you're not, it doesn't make you less valuable. So we have to learn how to get past that as well. I mean, that's not something that's going to be able to hold us back. Another piece of it, and I think this is huge, sexual orientation, gender. Being in a room of individuals, not only who don't look like you, they don't sound like you, they don't come from where you come from. They have different education backgrounds. They also have different sexual orientations. I've seen individuals from every single community that we have stand up and be able to lead a room. I've seen them give phenomenal speeches. I've seen them manage thousands of individuals into success. I've seen them be top producers in Fortune 500 companies. And I think there's a ceiling, the feeling that because you are who you are, you don't deserve to be there, or you think that they won't treat you the same. Who cares? You have to be able to get over that hump and get to where you want to go to be who you are. You just have to. It's inevitable that we allow ourselves to grow past how other people will label us, how other people feel about us, because it doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter what age you are. There's a lot of times to where being a younger person in a room, people will feel like you don't have, this goes back to experience, right? You don't have enough experience to be able to talk about a certain subject matter. I know a lot of industries that are getting younger by the day. Or maybe it's the opposite. Maybe you feel like that your peers don't think that you would be able to keep up with new things because you're an older individual. No one can determine but you on what you are able to produce, how fast you're able to produce it, the knowledge that you have, the value that you bring, despite your age, whether you're 50 plus or you're just over 18. Only you can do that. So that's one of the things that we have to learn, how to get out of that hole of focusing, I'm not old enough. They're not going to feel like I have enough experience. Here's how you show people that you have enough experience. You speak up, you show them. If there's an opportunity for you to stand in front of a room, even if it's on a small scale, you do it. If there's an opportunity for you to send an email to a group of individuals that's going to provide a lot of value, you do it. Doing is the way to get over feeling like I don't belong in this room. You have to do it. If there's a job that you're looking for, I don't feel like I am qualified, will apply for it. I don't feel like I've earned the ability to walk up to another individual or a group of individuals to pitch something or to say something or to give them your background on why you deserve, then you should do that. I think a lot of times our imposter syndrome keeps us from addressing or going through the hard trail that is necessary to get to the success that we want. I really do. I think that we have to start being very proactive in understanding the path that is difficult and taking it. Because the easy path, there's no one there that's going to see your value. There's no one who's going to be able to admire how great you are. Whether you're male, whether you're female, it doesn't matter. They won't be able to see that. You have to go in the direction that provides the most resistance, because in that direction there's growth. In that direction there's development. You can free your mental self from the things that you're dealing with by just going in that direction. Don't let age, don't let race, don't let background, your criminal history, your orientation, your familial status, don't let any of that be a determining factor of your success. So the things that we have to do, you have to be there for one. Show up. You have to do it. Do the things that are most resistant to your comfort. There's no growth in comfort. Those two things don't go together. It's like oil and water. Do the things that are most resistant to what makes you comfortable. Apply for it. If it's a job that you feel that you're not qualified for, apply for the job, right? If it's a business that you're terrified to start it. Sometimes, honestly, you just have to embrace the who around you to get you to where you want to go. That simply means who in your circle, who in your life can provide enough value and see something in you to push you past where you are. And if you don't have anyone, then you are. And if you feel like you're not, then do the things that'll promote a better you. Get into better rooms. Go out and get into rooms of people who you want to be like. Go sit down at the table with individuals who are doing the thing that you want to do. Again, that's that path of resistance, because that's not comfortable. I don't think that's a direction that we wake up and say, oh, I'm going to go and sit in a room full of thousands of people and talk to individuals who I've never met before and tell them the things that I want to do. You have to do it. You have to be there. You have to apply for it, because you're never going to be asked to be in the room. No one is going to seek you if you aren't taking the necessary steps to be in the room. You're qualified. In fact, you belong in a room, even in spite of whatever you've done in your life. Truth of the matter is, if you don't get in the room, what happens to the person like you who also desires to be in the room, and you are the determining factor on if they get there? And by the room, I mean success. What if you are the determining factor of someone else's success based on if you apply yourself, if you demand to be there, if you speak up, if you take the uncomfortable road? That's another way to think about it. Someone else won't get there because of me. Whether you think you can or you can't, you're always right. This is Skipping the Line podcast. Let's get to it. Let's grow. Let's go.